Antonio's top-rated satellite newscast.
Good evening. After only 4 months in business, SeaWorld of Texas has decided to fire more than 200 of its full-time workers. The employees were given their walking papers today. The staff reduction is in addition to the 1,500 temporary and seasonal workers who will leave their jobs at the end of the summer. Yolanda Graham has more on the reason behind the cutback.
In January, SeaWorld of Texas began hiring about 1,000 full-time employees to work in permanent positions. But now, many of those people have realized that nothing is permanent. 215 workers were let go as part of a so-called staff reduction.
It's important that you understand it's not a layoff, it's a permanent staffing level. And so the positions that are being eliminated won't ever appear again.
After operating this summer, SeaWorld says it discovered it didn't need as many workers as it originally hired. The reduction leaves about 870 full-time employees and 875 part-timers on the payroll. SeaWorld says all of its parks usually reevaluate the staff at the end of the summer, but officials didn't expect this kind of reduction, and the people who are most surprised are the ones left without a job. You were a full-time employee?
Yes. And I was guaranteed, for a job full-time for the whole year.
An estimated 2 million people have visited the 250-acre park since it first opened, and the company insists that cutting back is not an indication of financial trouble.
The message that it should send to the community is that we are making tough decisions to posture this business to be very successful for many, many years to come in San Antonio.
But 215 people won't be part of that success. They'll get a final paycheck on September 6th. Yolanda Graham, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
SeaWorld of Texas isn't the only Harcourt Brace Yovanovich Park cutting back. In San Diego, 150 employees were let go, and Orlando eliminated 167 positions. The SeaWorld in Aurora, Ohio is not involved in the staff reduction, but it did decide to cancel its winter season. The staff reductions at the other SeaWorlds were in all departments, including management. The no vacancy sign up at the new Marriott River Center tonight. There is no more room for interviews, at least. The new hotel is scheduled to open for business on October 10th, so Marriott operators have been taking calls from prospective employees. As of early this morning, all 4,000 interview slots had been taken. Operators will continue taking calls, though, through Friday, lining up names, numbers, and the type of job desired. Those people will be kept on file in case more employees are needed, and for when the hotel expands its staff from 500 to 800 in January. Even though it doesn't look too good at SeaWorld right now, the employment picture in San Antonio overall is brighter. The jobless rate took a substantial drop from June to July, down almost a point and a half. Statewide, the unemployment rate also tumbled, down from 8% in June to 6.6% in July. Texas Employment Commission officials say the change comes from students dropping out of the job market. Higher food prices because of the Midwestern drought got the blame for a moderate rise in the cost of living announced today. It went up 0.4% last month, but the drought may not be the only reason. Business analysts say many companies have decided to use the drought as an excuse for higher prices. For instance, cereal prices have risen in recent weeks, although grains used in them are still quite plentiful. And while meat prices for ranchers have been falling, meat prices in most supermarkets have gone up in recent weeks. There are a lot of unhappy hot dog vendors out there tonight. A recent crackdown on an old city ordinance is not setting well. It prohibits vendors from selling chili and cheese on hot dogs. The reason behind the move, the possibility of contamination.
When you go out of doors with it, you're subject to dust, you're subject to flies, and you don't have any control over these things.
That ordinance has been in effect since 1983, and vendors have been selling chili dogs without a hitch until now. Health officials seem confused by the order. One vendor was given the okay to sell chili and cheese, and then it was taken away.
They came back 12 days later and literally took my original vendor's permit that I was issued and took white out and whited out everything on it except for my hot dogs.
Petition drives have begun to bring back the chili cheese dog. City Council is expected to repeal the ordinance next week. More than 110,000 people were treated last year at our county-supported hospital medical center, and the number is going up. That's why hospital spokesmen say they need more money from the county budget. Spokesman John Guest will ask for a 6.7% budget increase for 1989 within the next few weeks. Guest says already this year they've had a 4% increase in the number of patients they're treating. That's only one reason they need more money. They say their costs are going up, too.
Medical care inflation is running at about 7%, and we don't believe that we can support our current level of operation in 1989 with only a 1.7% increase in tax revenues.
Guest says if the increase is approved, it would mean the owner of a $70,000 home would pay about $14 more a year in hospital taxes alone. The North Side Independent School District tentatively decided tonight to have a bond election in December. The $115 million bond issue discussed by board members would be used to build 7 new schools. School additions, remodeling, and new computers also part of the bond package. If approved, taxes in the district would increase about 9.5% over the next 4 years for this alone. The board will officially vote on September 12th whether to have the bond election on December 6th. If city leaders have their way, there will be another loop around part of San Antonio. It would be about 3 miles outside of Loop 410, but inside Loop 1604, and would hook up with the north inner loop that's already been approved. The city's trying to get federal and state money for the plan. Councilwoman Helen Duttmer is all for it. She says it'll help stop some of those traffic tie-ups.
Actually, it's right now more of a convenience for the people to the north than it is to the Southsiders, because we're right adjacent to 37 and we're adjacent to 281 that carry us to Mexico and to Corpus Christi and points to the Gulf.
If the federal funds come through, Duttmer expects the state to match the amount. She hopes the city won't have to pay anything at all. Coming up, the antics of an accused killer from Beaumont don't cut any ice with a local judge. And it was roundup time on Interstate 10 here today. We'll explain on the newsreel.
Leave it to the good hands, people. Where is everyone at this hour? Probably down at Allstate, saving up to 39% on their homeowner's insurance. If you have a home that is 10 years old or newer, you might qualify. To find out, just call an Allstate agent. You could save up to 39% on your homeowner's insurance. New savings up to 39% off. Another reason.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Texas Ford and you means quality. And now, for a limited time, it also means clearance. Now get the once-a-year price you've waited for on every single new car and truck in stock. Clearance prices, plus special factory direct savings, even factory cash back on Texas best-selling Fords. Clearance time is the best time to buy, because prices will never be lower. Texas Ford and you means quality at clearance prices. Now, during your Texas Ford dealer's annual clearance.
Jury selection continues tomorrow in the capital murder trial of Michael Lee Lockhart, who is accused of killing a Beaumont police officer. Today, Judge Larry Gist ruled that Lockhart is healthy enough to stand trial. Lockhart, you'll recall, jumped out of a courthouse window last week. His attorney asked that the trial be delayed until Lockhart recovered from a fractured pelvic bone. After that was turned down, attorney Charles Carver asked for a mistrial because of publicity surrounding the escape attempt. That was also denied. In addition, the judge ordered the defendant to remain handcuffed and shackled now during court proceedings. 2 local men have pleaded guilty to charges surrounding the death of a 9-year-old boy here. This morning, 19-year-old Omar Resendez and 20-year-old Isaac Martinez pleaded guilty to charges of injury to a child and attempted murder. 9-year-old Andrew Moreno was killed in March as he lay sleeping in his home in the 200 block of Wainwright. The 2 men said they didn't know the boy was inside the home when they fired shots into it. Resendez has been handed a 20-year sentence. Martinez will get his sentence soon. A former Pearsall teacher will be tried in Jourdanton on charges of sexually abusing several children. A district judge today moved Don Thompson's trial from Pearsall to Jourdanton and set September 19th as the date for pre-trial motion. Thompson is charged with 5 counts of indecency with a child and 5 counts of injury to a child. Those stem from alleged incidents while Thompson was a 3rd-grade teacher. 3 prominent Maverick County men were handed sentences today for their part in a bribery scheme. All of them were given 8 years probation and a $5,000 fine. The whole thing stems from the sale of this property to the Eagle Pass Independent School District. The men were charged with plotting to sway a school board vote in order to buy property owned by one of them. Eagle Pass banker Nick Carr was also ordered to pay $18,000 in restitution to the school district. Maverick County Commissioner Luis Minton will be removed from office. The third man, former Eagle Pass School Board President Inez Ramirez, is expected to appeal with his counterpart. The Schertz police chief has now been fired from his job. Schertz Mayor Earl Sawyer said tonight the city manager asked Chief James Keith to either return to work or tell them of his plans. Keith has been on sick leave for the past 3 months since he was charged with several illegal activities connected to the police department. City officials say Keith didn't answer the letter, so the city manager fired him. Sergeant Steve Starr is now the interim police chief. An accident on June 25th of this year has resulted in involuntary manslaughter charges against a DPS officer from Carrizo Springs. Teodoro Cano Jr. has been indicted in connection with the death of Pedro Martinez, who was killed when his car was rear-ended on Fisher Road. The car burst into flames. Officer Cano is currently free on a personal recognizance bond. He was off duty at the time of the wreck. His blood alcohol level, though, was above the legal limit. Still ahead, the last temptation of Christ being given controversial airtime in Austin. And Albert will tell us if we're in for any more of those 100-plus days. And how many exactly?
1.5. I don't know exactly. It's a multiple guess.
Here, let me help you.
Common courtesy. It's worth a lot. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Funny thing is, if you had to ask for it, you probably wouldn't get it. But you could walk into any Dillard's and find a whole department store stocked full of courtesy. You see, from day one, Mr. Dillard knew that common courtesy wasn't all that common, and that made it a very valuable item. Common courtesy, no extra charge.
One thing America's winners know how to do is move, especially during clearance time at Cheap Eagle dealers. Hurry, and you can get a new Eagle Premier with $600 cash back now, or a 1989 Eagle Medallion with $1,000 cash back. This is your chance to save up to $1,950 on select new Jeep Comanches, or up to $1,800 on select new Jeep Cherokees. They're America's winners, and their clearance price now. See your Texas Jeep Eagle dealers, where you can expect the best.
Cooler temperatures and rain in a lot of places.
But not here. Yeah, I mean, like half the country on this radar summary shows some good rain. We just have a very stable, dry pattern holding up for the next few days. Welcome to late August. That's what's going to happen to you. Of course, at this time of the year, we always look out into the Caribbean or the Caribbean, however you'd like to pronounce it, in the Atlantic, Pacific, for some tropical activity to maybe kind of break the dry spell. Well, here's the 3 systems we've been watching. This one now downgraded to a tropical wave. This is still a depression, and so is this. At this point, this wave doesn't look like it's going to reform, as it was just on the edge of the Gulf of Mexico. Not that we want big violent storms, but maybe something to break up the dry spell. That's the current positions of all our tropical systems. None of them are storms yet. None of them really have been named. So as they do, we'll certainly move that along for you. You can see immediately your eyes are drawn to the bright white over Arkansas, and because these are infrared satellite pictures, unlike during the daytime we give you what's called daylight or visible, it's like looking down. These are actually temperature-sensitive photographs, and so the brighter whites we indicate as the more strong heat-delivering kind of storms, because you will get a lot of heat dispersed by a thunderstorm. Well, here's where they are tonight, 52 and 53,000 foot tops over the central part of Arkansas. Then obviously it thins out, and just by the texturing you can tell these are cooler clouds, much more settled, cool air drifting down out of Canada into the northeast, clearing skies, relatively dry over the central plains, and then again a little bit of Pacific moisture rolling back in over the evening over parts of Arizona and New Mexico. They've had some shower activity. Throughout a good part of the day, this low pressure activated a few sparse showers to that part of the state. Sunshine broke out in the Four Corners area then. It was unusually warm up through the Oklahoma. I just renamed the entire state. Oregon and Washington, they were up like 85, 86 degrees in Medford. That's real unusual. And then just hot temperatures, 102, 103 over northern Georgia, South Carolina. And it seemed to kind of compress. You had all this moisture and warm air, just stagnant, as this somewhat cooler, drier air at least began to push down, low pressure guiding towards that trough line towards the east. Still lots of heavy thunderstorms around the area. Here's how the national radar plots. There we go. You can see some light levels occurring over the southeast, and it continues to work itself into Texas. Looks like most of the real heavy thunderstorms will settle right into Arkansas and stay there for the next 12 hours or so, and then they will begin to diminish hopefully by morning. Daytime heating will progress them back up again through northern Louisiana and into Mississippi. We'll take a break and look at your forecast when we come back.
For 24-hour-a-day weather updates, call WeatherTel at 470-KENS, a service of Eyewitness News and Travis Savings.
Until recently, the savings of a lifetime could be wiped out by one long hospital stay. Independence was traded for a room in the home of a daughter or son. It was sad, and it wasn't fair. But now there's a law, a Lloyd-Benson law, that extends Medicare benefits.
With a catastrophic health care bill, we've given our elderly hope again, and their children the security of knowing their parents will be independent and well cared for. I felt that had to be done.
For the lowest price on everything for your car, from oil to parts and accessories, there's one auto parts store that has everyone flowing with praise. Western Auto. This week at Western Auto, save on all weights of Castrol motor oil for maximum protection against both viscosity and thermal breakdown. Right now, Castrol motor oil is just 79 cents a quart. Western Auto, because you can't choose the right oil if you don't have a choice.
Well, we weren't expecting to have a forecast, but all of a sudden the computer started pulling pages out of all over the place. I'm going to walk off and give you the forecast and tell you what's going on. Fair and warm tonight, a low of 78 degrees, light and variable winds. Tomorrow we're simply going to call it sunny and hot. Temperatures right up to 100 degrees, and then our southwest winds at about 10 miles an hour should continue. Extended forecast, and for the next couple of days says 78 to 100, 98, 96. It's just going to kind of stay there. High today, by the way, of 99. Low of 78. So we just came right up on the edge of 100, and we expect to go over the proverbial edge again tomorrow.
How much warning will we have if one of those tropical systems comes our way? 2, 3 days or so?
Oh, yeah, at least 3 or 4, but they're so far out now, it went straight for San Antonio. It'll take about a week.
Okay. Santikos Theaters says it still hasn't decided if the controversial movie The Last Temptation of Christ will be shown in San Antonio, but the same company that owns Santikos is showing the movie in Austin. Santikos officials say Austin is a more appropriate market for the film. Opponents of the film have protested every night it's been shown in Austin. They say the movie is playing there because Austin is viewed as a more liberal city than San Antonio. Opponents say protest in Austin would be mild compared to what would happen in San Antonio.
I think the fact that we had close to 1,000 on our first night of protest was phenomenal for Austin. But if they took it to San Antonio, I could see thousands.
Well, opponents vow they'll continue to picket The Last Temptation of Christ until it leaves Austin. Coming up, Polish leaders trying to sort through some labor unrest there, and the Republican candidate for Vice President Dan Quayle squares off with reporters over his trash.
His trash?
Well, he was taking it out when they caught him, so to speak, today. They asked him to speak.
We used to have roaches. I tried everything. But when I saw a roach crawl across her pacifier, that was it. That's when we got raid controller baits.
With raid controller baits, roaches take the poison home to their breeding nests, killing not just the roaches you see, but the ones hiding and breeding back in their nests.
Now when she puts that pacifier in her mouth, I know nobody else has been using it.
Trust raid controller baits, and you may never see roaches again.
There's a city in Texas that supported our major industries and generations of family for over 120 years. The city, First City, Texas. Healthy, strong, and ready to say yes, we can to businesses and families across the state. Whatever your banking needs, find your answers here in our city, First City, Texas.
I have an offer from someone very close to you. Maiden form. Right now, just buy any 2 bras, panties, or lingerie styles, and we'll give you another one free. So let's say you buy any 2 maiden form bras, like these. You can get another one, like this, free.
Available at Dillard's.
Poland is threatening more arrests in its attempt to end the worst wave of labor problems in that country since the Solidarity days of 1981. Those threats and the arrest of some 4 dozen people nationwide caused workers in a Polish coal mine to end their strike. but men in another coal mine nearby vowed to stay underground until government representatives start negotiating with them. 2 more shipyards are suffering strikes. New economic policies sharply raised the prices of essential goods because subsidies were cut, and workers want matching increases in pay. President Reagan went to Long Beach, California today to sign a trade bill he spent months fighting with Congress about. The ceremony in front of a big ship filled with imported goods was for the signing of a new bill that gives the president power to curb the entry of foreign goods into this country and also provides money to retrain workers thrown out of jobs by foreign competition. Texans may most notice that the new law also repeals the windfall profits tax on oil. Not mentioned at today's ceremony that the bill's main sponsor in Congress was Texas Senator Lloyd Bentsen, now the Democratic vice presidential candidate. And Republican vice presidential nominee Dan Quayle fought off new allegations today about his National Guard experience and his relationship with a former Washington lobbyist. The senator from Indiana talked to reporters after bringing the family trash to the street. In an article coming up in November's Playboy, one-time lobbyist Paula Parkinson describes how Quayle supposedly propositioned her during a Florida golfing trip they and a half dozen others went on in 1980. But Parkinson's companion on that trip denied it today, and so did Quayle.
That is just an absolute, flat-out falsehood. I had nothing to do with her down there. I had nothing to do with her before, and I had nothing to do with her afterwards. And I think you all are going to have to be a little bit careful about this, because it's totally untrue. I've got a wife and 3 small children.
Quayle also denied using influence to get into the National Guard in 1969, and a National Guard report from that year released today at least backed up Quayle's claim that there were vacancies in his unit before, during, and after the time he signed up. A street fight turned out to be pretty costly for the heavyweight champ, Mike Tyson. Dan, with that and more sports when we return. What did he get for this street fight? Was it a few million, maybe, or?
No, I think it was a freebie just threw in. He's not as busy fighting, though, as Quayle is the media.
That's
Nobody can tell you what a complete and thorough brake job will cost until they inspect your car. Nobody. But some places promise low prices without making it clear what it includes. Midas makes it clear. For $59, Midas replaces your brake shoes or pads, turns drums or rotors, inspects front wheel bearings and front grease seals. So if you need brakes, remember, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Don't forget, there's a fiesta going on at McDonald's. A Chicken McNuggets Fiesta. Come enjoy our 3 new Chicken McNuggets Fiesta sauces and collect real south-of-the-border coins. But hurry, the fiesta ends soon.
The taste of Old El Paso is now at McDonald's. Get a free 8-ounce bottle of Old El Paso Picante sauce when you buy a 9 or 20-piece Chicken McNuggets Fiesta. Take home your free bottle of Old El Paso Picante sauce and enjoy a McDonald's today.
Why not buy the best during the summer sale at Stowers with savings of 25 to 50%? Stowers Furniture, unique looks, affordable fashions for over 98 years.
Here's a guy who got, what was it, $21 million for a 90-second fight.
Well, I think this one was only 50 seconds. I'm not really sure, just a couple of bucks. He fought Mitch Green in 1986, 2 years ago, May of 1980, and won a decision.
So this is a rematch, you're saying?
I guess so. We may never get the true story on this. Heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson did indeed break a small bone in his right hand during a street fight early this morning in New York. It's a hairline fracture, so Tyson may still be able to keep his October the date with Frank Bruno in London. Tyson was in a scuffle with a former boxing opponent, as mentioned, Mitch Green. Green told police that Tyson hit him on the nose outside a Harlem nightclub at 4:30 this morning. Green said 5 stitches were needed on his nose, and he had the evidence. Well, Tyson said that the brief fight started outside an all-night clothing store when he dropped by at 4:30 to pick up a jacket. Well, doesn't everybody shop for clothes at 4:30 in the morning? Well, here's an interesting angle. Tyson said that Green threw the first punch, and he held a press conference today and introduced 2 witnesses to back up his story. One of the witnesses was Walter Berry of the San Antonio Spurs. The other witness was Berry's cousin, Tom Smalls. Berry, wearing a Spurs sweatshirt, did most of the talking while Tyson waved the cast on his hand. Tyson says the hand doesn't hurt one bit. You have to wonder how he knew that it was broken. Well, Art Rooney, founder and owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is in a coma and in grave condition tonight in a Pittsburgh hospital. Rooney suffered a stroke last week, but seemed to improve over the weekend. Then yesterday took a turn for the worse. The 87-year-old Rooney now appears to be near death. John Lucas, banned by the NBA for repeated drug and alcohol abuse, is now a free agent and ready to re-enter the league. Lucas says that he's been totally free of drugs and booze for 2 years, and he says he's negotiating with 4 clubs, including the Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs. Lucas is now 34 years old. The Dallas Cowboys, like all NFL teams, released a lot of players today in this next-to-last cut before the regular season starts. The 2 Dallas veterans were among those who found. Quarterback, this means that Kevin Sweeney almost certainly made the team since Dallas plans to keep. McDonald was interviewed right after he got the bad news, and he took it rather well.
I guess it was maybe more disappointing because when it happened in 85 or 86 in Cleveland, I had played 6 years, so obviously there was, only having played 6 years, there's a lot of time to go. Now having played 8, going into my 9th, being 30, maybe some people think he's old and his time has come, but I certainly don't have that attitude.
Around the league, a lot of old pros were left unemployed today. Among those sent away were kicker Ray Wershing and running back Joe Cribbs of the 49ers, Dave Remington of the Bengals, John Spagnola of the Eagles, and Paul Kaufman of the New Orleans Saints. Some will hook on with other teams. Others, well, they'll just end their pro football careers. We'll take a break. Be back with the baseball rundown.
By your neighbors at H-E-B.
It takes a lot of money and responsibility to own a Grand Prix racing team. Whether it's maintaining a high-ticket Jaguar or an economical fab car, racing's expensive.
I say to the sponsor.
McAdams, like other
standard size print or get through. Then share your memories with double print. Now H-E-B's new low price. So get the big picture. Or 2. At H-E-B Photo Place.
We don't claim to have something for everybody, but one of our 80 programs may be what you're looking for. We're St. Philip's College. Won't you give us a call?
Midas brake shoes and pads are guaranteed for as long as you're on your car. And that's just part of our $59 brake special. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
If someone you love is really depressed, call us. Right now. We're ready to listen.
The Minnesota Timberwolves, an NBA expansion team, won't begin play until the season after this coming campaign, but today they named a head coach. Bill Musselman, former University of Minnesota coach, is now head coach of the soon-to-be Timberwolves. It'll be Musselman's second time around the NBA. He had a brief fling as head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's got the best record of any coach in the history of the University of Minnesota. For Major League Baseball, let's go to the scoreboard in the American League. The Yankees ended a 4-game losing streak. They beat Oakland tonight 5-4. Seattle rained out at Baltimore. They'll try for a doubleheader tomorrow. Boston clobbered California 10-2. The Red Sox, they're still hot on the trail of Detroit. Toronto 3-1 over Chicago in the 5th inning. And Detroit and Minnesota are all tied up now in the 10th inning, 5-all. Cleveland has leads. Cleveland leads Milwaukee 6-2 in the 9th inning. And Texas is out in front of KC 7-3 in the 7th. In the National League, Pittsburgh over Cincinnati, a final 2-0. The Chicago Cubs whipped the Houston Astros 9-3. The Astros now trail the Dodgers by 5 games, but the Dodgers are still playing. St. Louis blanked Atlanta 7-0 final, and Philadelphia is leading San Diego 5-1 in the 4th. The Mets, the Mets and Dodgers are all tied up very early in that ball game. Montreal has an early 1-0 lead over San Francisco in the 3rd inning. Here on the home front, the San Antonio Missions defeated Midland tonight. That'll be 7-2 final score for the Missions, and they close out their regular home season here tomorrow night. Then the playoffs start. They go on the road for a while, then the playoffs start.
But they still end earlier than the regular season. The regular major league
Right,
season,
oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, newsreel's next.
I haven't got time to breathe, let alone wait 2 weeks for new glasses. That nurse said to me, "Where do you get your hair done?"
I said at the mall. She said, why not go to LensCrafters?
LensCrafters crafts your quality glasses in about an hour by putting the whole lab right in the store so you can see better and get more done in about an hour.
By the time my hair was done, my beautiful glasses were done.
LensCrafters, custom-crafted eyeglasses in about an hour. Crossroads of San Antonio and Windsor Park Mall.
Steak and all-you-can-eat fresh fruit, salad, go to your own tostada bar dinner. Now that's an offer with some real meat to it.
Time for a look at tonight's newsreel. Oh, sure, it just looks like some empty land now, but soon this will be a new northwest side street and a business park.
Full of new technologies and old desires.
Or at least full of new businesses. Councilman Nelson Wolf officiated at the dedication of the soon-to-be-built Texas Elm Street and Post Oak Business Park, which consists of some 21 acres.
Each will sell for about $200 to collectors.
Or more. There are people in this world who would tell you that this site is impossible. Nobody, they would say, can grow an 11-foot-tall tomato plant. Nobody.
Not even a special interest that want it so much.
But 8-year-old Michael Werlinger says the plant at his home in Livonia, Michigan just grew because he doused it with water every day. You know what most people will tell you if you ask whether you should water tomatoes every day? What will they say about that?
Just read my lips. No.
But little Michael did that to his tomato plant, and tomatoes started appearing in no time.
A couple here and a couple there, and then, bam, they were all over the place.
It was something. Finally, that accident involving a cattle truck on Interstate 10 and Foster Road today was bad luck for most everyone involved, except that animal. This one got loose after the truck crash. A police officer...
And before he could stop her, she vanished.
Well, the cow got way down Interstate 10 and almost miraculously nobody hit it. Whoa, what? Wait a minute. Get back. Was the cow disturbed by those near misses as she trotted off?
So she was singing Buffalo Gal, will you come out tonight?
Guess not. In fact, a posse had to be sent out to catch her. We've always wondered, what would a cow like this do if she did get away from captivity, huh?
You'd spend a Saturday evening with a few friends in a six-pack.
Seems reasonable. That's Eyewitness Newsreel, and that's Eyewitness News. Good night.
What do you think the visitors from New York on that freeway thought about that today?
Well, at least we know how to catch them. You know, when they get away in New York, there are no horses, there are no ropes or anything.
That's right.
Those police officers chase them down, you know, barehanded.
They got horses, but they really don't ride too well.
Yeah. Those funny saddles.
Yeah, and those rubber
horseshoes. Yeah.